The topic today is have mercy. And I wanted a topic title that had the word mercy in it. And so just the phrase, have mercy. And I'm like, oh, everyone has heard that one. So I made it the topic title for today. And I thought, where did I get that anyways? Where does have mercy come from? So I Googled it, and it comes from Uncle Jesse in Full House. Nothing but the highest sacred readings here. And so I watched an interview with him today, and he was saying he got it from Pretty Woman, so it just gets better. But he said the best thing was Gary Marshall had asked him to come up with a phrase, like Fonzie at A. So he said wherever Henry Winkler goes, when people see him, they go, A. And he said, it's great, because I picked have mercy, so everywhere I go, people go, have mercy. And he's like, I'm being blessed all the time. That's great. So have mercy. You know, it's interesting. So that reading today, wasn't it lovely from Andrew Harvey? But I actually had a really hard time finding a reading with mercy. I was trying to find a reading around the quality of mercy, trying to pull it out, extract it from religious teachings. And because I grew up in a liberal Protestant church, and the quality of mercy was never one that we talked about or was in my world. So, and it's very, from Googling it and listening to people's story, I know mercy is very, very much a Catholic quality. So I just wanted to see what mercy was sort of separate and apart, and it's not talked about much. We have compassion, we have love, we have kindness, we have all sorts of other words, but not the word mercy, which I thought was kind of interesting. So it's been fun just being with mercy and bringing it into the present day, sort of seeing the highest possibility. What I love about Houston Smith in his book, World's Religion, is he wrote about what the ideals of each religion was versus what humans do with it and twisting it around sometimes. So I was trying to do that with mercy, like what's the highest ideal of mercy? And I got it from the definition. So the definition of mercy is about giving something to somebody that is undeserved. So one of the ideas was mercy and justice can't actually work together because justice is something that is given out of fairness. Out of justice, the fair response to this is your sentencing or whatever, where mercy is whether you deserve it or not, you give mercy. There's no deserving quality, which is beautiful. It's a compassion. The other thing, so that was the first thing I learned about mercy. The other thing that I thought was interesting about mercy was that it's not passive. So when Jack said, can I put feet on my faith? I'm like, oh, that's perfect for this idea of mercy, because mercy it just isn't is. Like love, it isn't love, it's not simply love is, it's love is and love gives. So the idea of mercy is that it's love giving of itself all of the time. It's an energy of giving. It's not just a beingness. And I like that about mercy. It's active, it's participating, it's giving. So it's giving and it's like grace in that it's undeserved. So why would we turn away from this quality that seems so beautiful? Well, and I'm going to primarily look at the Catholic understanding of mercy because that's really more of the reading that came up. I didn't even know, maybe some of you know who have a Catholic background, this is the year of mercy. It's the Jubilee year of mercy, which I did not know. It's and the Pope Francis came out with a book in January about mercy, and he certainly lives a life of mercy. So it was very prevalent in all my reading about the Catholic tradition. So since lots of us come from Buddhist or Hindu background, I won't go into they're very similar. But why would we, on the Western front, turn away from this idea of mercy and vie more for love or compassion? Well, how it started to being used in the traditional sense was that we were born of original sin. So we are inherent sinners. There is a God in the sky that is always judging us, and if we are in its favor, if we beg and beseech, have mercy on me, it may decide to give us favor and give us mercy. But we sort of had to beg for it, hope that it was going to give it to us. And it was always with the idea that we were sinners, that we were bad people. So there was a continuous prayer in the Eastern Orthodox tradition, I don't know if it's in regular Catholicism, is Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. And we say it constantly because there's a sense of I constantly need mercy because I'm constantly, as just for my very existence, am in sin. So I think that's one reason why we turned away from it. The other, the sense that we're always bad and that we always need mercy, that we had to ask a God in the sky to please give it to us, which is disempowering. One of the shifts that we made in this Western society, moving away from more traditional religions, is to shift from being disempowered, God has all the power, or the authority of the church has all the power, to say, no, the power is within me. I can make choices. I can decide. I don't have to beg and beseech. I can own my own authority, and I can own and speak my truth, and that my truth, because I am made in the image and likeness of God, that all that God is in, through, and as me. It's not out there. And we start learning God as a principle, as a law, as something that's not personal, that has gives and takes according to a personal human quality, a whim of how we've behaved, that it's always present. These principles are always present. They're always in us. And all we have to do is become conscious and awake to them, to activate them in our life. So there becomes an extraordinary amount of power. It's empowering and vitalizing and energizing to say, I don't need to stand by and wait. I am one with all these principles, and I can create my reality. I can co-create. You know, it's not like me, myself, but in alignment with this one power and one presence, I can co-create a life of love and beauty and harmony, so I don't have to beg for mercy anymore. And that I'm not inherently bad, that I'm inherently made in the image and likeness of God. And that's a really powerful, wonderful shift. And I hope that's really where we are in our community, is really knowing that that power of God is within us. So then the question becomes, but is there something missing in that understanding? You know, last week I referred to Prince, who had everything, you know, a creative musical genius, played with gender boundaries, just was so ahead of his time, creative, free, lots of money, lots of respect. Not just fame, respect for who he was, talent. Nothing limited him. And yet he chose to be in a religion that was very constrictive. So what was missing? If he had all this, he was empowered, he had all this energy, and he could participate in his reality. What was missing? And is there anything missing for us on this new thought, more progressive spiritual path that's missing? So I can't answer that for anyone here. Maybe there isn't anything missing for you. Maybe you are just really enjoying the empowering part and creative and all of that. So I'm not going to assume that there's something missing. I can say that for me there was something missing because having been on this path for however many years, 27 years, something like that, consciously, actively, having done affirmations up the yin-yang, and have my mantra, I do prayers, all of that. I think the thing that has struck me the most is how, and I've been working on it more lately, so I'm really aware of it, is this ever-present feeling of not enoughness. No matter how much I treat, no matter how much I affirm, so now what I've been doing, it's what I've been practicing, I thought, well, it's there, I'm just not noticing it. So part of my practice lately is just to notice when I feel not enough, when in the day, and the more I am aware of it, I'm actually surprised how much it is behind. It's way, way, way behind. But now as I'm getting more conscious, I'm like, oh, even that comes from not enough, or even that comes from not enough. And I've mentioned a few times, because I've been aware of it, I had a teacher, Barbara Mary Mull, who used to say that the one universal false belief is not enough. And it comes up in different ways. Not enough money, not enough power, not enough intelligence, not enough beauty, not enough talent, not enough. And it comes up for everybody in different ways, but that one belief, not enough, is what keeps our planet at a certain level of density. And if just that one false belief, not enough, was healed, that our whole planet would become heaven on earth. Isn't that powerful? So that's why I've been really working with this not enough, just in me individually. And so what I found was that no matter how co-creative I can get in my reality, and it's still true, I'm co-creative, I'm participating, I'm affirming, I'm treating, but there's still this thing of not enough that lingers in me. And the reason why I believe that I don't know why we have not enough, but my sense is that Yogananda talks about our drive to know that we're more is because we feel it in ourselves, that perfection. We feel our oneness and union in God. We feel that part of us that is always ever-present love, is always peace, that is never in fear, that is always abundant in beauty. We feel it, and we always feel like we're coming short of it in our human life. Like we connect with it, we feel that power, but then in our human life, we're not connecting with it, so that's always this drive. He said it's this drive to totally become that which is enough. And so that part of us that never quite makes it is the part that's feeling not enough, that always feels just a little bit less than that perfection I tap into when I'm meditating or praying, but then I go out into my life, and then I don't come from that place. I come from my human self. So what would happen if we started opening to mercy in those moments? What I'm finding that I'm doing now when I notice, oh, here's another moment where I feel not enough, is I don't try to fix it anymore with a prayer or an affirmation. I just be with it, and I surrender it to the always ever-present love. But this love, like I was defining mercy as it's giving love, it's not just passive love, that I surrender the not enoughness in that moment. I just accept it. Oh, I feel not enough. I surrender it to this ever-present givingness of love. That this love is giving of itself to me right now. And I allow myself to just not force it, just to allow it to be loved. To not try to fix it, not try to change it with an affirmation. Just let it be love. And it's what Andrew Harvey was referring to in his reading, is just letting our heart break open over and over again. Oh, I don't feel enough again. And it's the feeling of the humility of that, the softness that starts to bring, the tenderness. What I didn't know is by always being empowered, which is a really fun and vitalizing feeling, sometimes it can be also ego. That there's times where I can feel really good about myself, and I notice as well, oh, now I start to feel stronger than other people or better than other people, and I feel hard. There's a hardness to it sometimes with that feeling of power. And I actually, he was doing a lot of Rumi's poems in that section, and how by the breaking of the heart, it was so interesting, and getting mashed up and feeling the pain, you feel an ecstasy and a joy. And what I think that is when I start feeling that softness and that humility, I might feel sad, but I also feel a joy because I feel more connected with everyone around me. I don't feel any better than anybody. I don't feel like I have to put on a mask anymore. I remember when I worked in the psychiatric hospital, I used to come home and just cry because I felt so honored, because if it was a private psychiatric hospital, so it wasn't the worst case scenarios where people have to live on medication all the time. It was a time in someone's life where all the masks were gone. So I, every day, got to walk into a group of people who were sharing from their heart with no mask. They weren't trying to pretend. And to me, that was the most precious place to connect with somebody. And so when I start to feel that myself, when I allow myself to allow mercy and say, I'm not always in control, I'm not enough, and my heart softens, and I feel tender, and I feel kinder, and I feel gentler. I feel more connected with the divine, and I feel more connected with everyone around me, and that's the joy that I start to feel in the midst of in the sadness, and as the heart is breaking over and over, comes the ecstasy. And that's what I think we are being called to do. That's this next level of development that we're on in our spiritual journeys, that I think we have a lot of tools about being empowered, and I think we need to keep working on those. It's not an either or. Part of actually, I think the next step is being able to be in the paradox, or the both and, of being empowered, of co-creating our reality, of speaking our truth, of knowing what is real, and at the same time allowing ourselves to be humble. Our willingness to step out of ourselves, because the more we accept mercy from this divine presence and open ourselves, and remember that this is not a mercy that comes and goes or that we need to beg or beseech for. Mercy is just active love. love that is giving itself to us all of the time. So the difference, I would say, between the old idea of is Jesus Christ have mercy on me, like you're hoping to get it, is the shift in saying it's already been given and it's always been given. And can I just be soft enough and humble enough to accept it moment to moment, the humility, and allow it through me, and let this joy vibrate through me. And the more we can accept this as our presence, well, I'm going to continue talking for a little bit between ourselves and the divine before each other. The other aspect of that is the monthly title is Divine Mother, Anthropomorphism, and Me. Because I think the other thing that's something we've lost a little bit, when we talk about the divine love intelligence of the universe and we make it principles and laws, that sometimes we forget the person quality, the intimate quality. When I talk to people, it's like an energy around me, or I feel it moving through me, but it's not something that we can intimately be related to, or we can have lost that. And what I think we want to do is, again, the both and. We want to know it as principle, we want to know it as law. I wanted to really discover what mercy was just as a principle, separate from all the religiosity that surrounded it. But at the same time, there is a presence and a power that I like to commune with that is that's intimately involved in my life, in my human life, that hears and feels. So I was thinking about even what does active love look like? And I was asking Spirit, like, what is your mercy really? What does that mean for me? What does it feel like? And it's listening. You know, Jack had a conversation with a young man in pain yesterday. And to me, it was an act of compassion, mercy. He just listened. It was active love. He was fully present to somebody. It wasn't somebody he knows, and it was just a moment of going outside of yourself and caring for someone that you don't know, doesn't deserve it in terms of he hasn't done anything for Jack, or, you know, it's mercy that goes for no reason. You know, we talk a lot about cause and effect. It transcends cause and effect. We just give it because we see the beauty of someone's soul, not because they've done something for us, or not because they've done something in the world to say you deserve it, but just because of who you are as a spiritual being. I'm going to give my attention. I'm going to give my presence. I'm going to give a smile. I'm going to give a hug, not because you've done anything to deserve it. And the more we feel that connection, that personal connection with the divine, I think the more it flows out. The more it goes out into the world and we show it to other people. As I was listening to that reading today, I was just thinking about, you can't help it, Mother Teresa, you know? She, by far, we were watching a movie about her yesterday. So I learned a few things, which I didn't know about her earlier beginning. She wanted to serve God, and she wanted to serve the poor. She became a nun. And she lived in a cloister. She was a cloister nun in Calcutta, India. And she was a teacher, but she was primarily a teacher for the rich Indian girls. And she said she heard the voice of God. That she said it was a calling within a calling, that she was to go out and help the poorest of the poor. What I didn't know was that was such a big deal. Like, of course, that's what nuns do, right? Apparently not. They didn't want her to leave the cloistered. That was a law. Like, she went out to feed she took some food from the convent and went out and fed some of the refugees outside her window, and she got in trouble for that. You know, we don't do that. You're cloistered and you're here to serve. There's unending poverty out there. It's a never-ending job. That's not what we do. And the mother of her, what do you call it, order probably, didn't want her, was very much against her and was sort of fighting her every step of the way. But she had this incredible talk, she goes, it's God's will, it's not my will. It's God's will, it's not my will. And so when she went out, when they finally gave permission, she went out with $1. She had $1 into the poorest of the poor neighborhoods. She wasn't going out and giving food. She wasn't going out and doing anything. They said all she had to give was God's love. What if we all recognized that we don't have to have anything special? All we have to give is God's love. And in any moment, say, how can I give God's love in this moment? Even if I don't have anything else to give, how can I give God's love? And they were resistant, the community she went into, because they were afraid she was there to convert them to Catholicism. And she kept saying, I'm not here to convert you to Catholicism. I was told to serve the poorest of the poor. I just want to share God's love and give whatever I can. So as they slowly began to trust her, she started to teach their children how to read. Then the medical supply started coming in, and these hospitals started. But it all started from this desire to serve and give God's love. That was the step of mercy. The other things, the food, the education, the medical supplies, that came second. The first thing, the first sign of mercy was giving love. Everyone in this room can do that. But it's really hard to do if we don't feel ourselves loved, or if we feel like we have to deserve our love, if we feel like we have to say our prayers just right in order for God to love us. If we feel like we have to say all the right affirmations, if we've had bad thoughts today, I don't deserve love. If I've been out of alignment with my spiritual practices today, I don't deserve love. I don't deserve mercy. Mercy is not about deserving. God is giving its love to us all of the time. We're the ones who block it. Every one of us has this feeling of our limitations, of our not enoughness. And we can find that not enoughness if we're really good. Someone like me is really good at it every day. It shows up. Oh, I'm not enough there. I'm not enough there. Dang it. If we just start shifting, and every time we start noticing, oh, I'm doing this because I feel not enough, rather than trying to fix it. By the way, that was the other reason why, because mercy then became a tool for dominance and control. Because it's someone who has power over someone who doesn't have power. Someone who has the power to give mercy and decides not to do it and withholds, and someone who doesn't have that power. We're shifting the dynamics of that. God is always giving. That's what we really want to shift from the old idea, that God doesn't give and withhold. It doesn't give to some that it likes and it withholds. It is giving its mercy to everybody all the time, unconditionally, inclusively of all beings. It's not about power. It's not about dominance. It's not about control. It's not about manipulation. It is about presence of love, about giving love, listening, being present. So we get to do that with ourselves. We get to allow that mercy into our life as we go through our week. Any time where you notice, like I said, if we all heal not enoughness, we're doing great. Any time throughout the day where you feel, I'm not enough, and you catch it, rather than trying to fix it or dominate it or control it or manipulate it, just love it. Open your heart and give love to that area that's not enough. And even for me, that giving love doesn't mean doing anything. It just means being with it. It means just, I give it to God. I give it to something greater than myself. I give it to my highest self that is always loving. I give this thing that I can't help, that I keep feeling not enough, and I just surrender it over to something greater than me. I guess for me, that it's a process of surrendering every time the moment I feel it. I just surrender it over to something greater than me that is always loving. I trust that it's always loving. I trust that it's always giving. So that's my invitation for you this week, is to really allow your heart to open into mercy for yourself first and foremost, because it's really hard to be consistently merciful with other people if we're not consistently merciful with ourselves. Let our hearts soften. Notice as you do this, see if your heart softens. Notice if you get more tender with yourself. And notice if you allow your heart to break open more and more, notice if you start laughing more. Notice if you start feeling a little bit freer and more joyful. Just notice. Are you all willing to try that this week? Yeah. With yourself, with your life? Yay! This is the best about being in community. All right, my beautiful friends, let's pray. And sometimes it's hard to pray just to come up with words. So let's just be together in the tenderness and the softness of this moment. If we notice any edges to our heart and to what we have to know or what we think we should know, any shoulds, just let our heart soften into that. We can let go for just this moment. We can be safe in not knowing, not having all the answers, not being perfect, not being enough in the human realm. It's safe here. You're safe. We all are safe. And we're safe because we're letting go into an ever-presence of pure love. A love that loves itself as every one of us without condition. It does not wait until we do something to deserve that love. Love is simply being love all of the time. It can't help but give itself actively, joyfully, abundantly, generously, fully, wholly, and completely as all of its creation. It never can stop or limit its loving itself passionately as all life, as all form, without judgment ever. It is beyond anything we could ever humanly conceive, this extraordinary love that just can't stop loving and 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 loving. And we are the center of that love. Each and every one of us is beautiful vortex. Each and every one of us, the center of being loved over and over and over and over again. Every aspect of our life, every minutiae detail, every thought, every space in between thought, every feeling, every experience, everything that has ever been part of our journey. We are loved, we are loved, we are loved, we are loved, we are loved passionately, unconditionally, without limit. No conditions. Ever, always, all the time, in every moment in time and space and beyond, we have always been loved and always will be loved, and that love is fully, wholly, and completely alive and awake in this room, in this space, in this time, right here and right now. Thank you, Mother, Father, God, infinite and eternal one. How grateful I am to know that I am not in control of this love. I just say yes. I say yes to it, your love fully overwhelming us in its joy, in its harmony, in its peace, in its healing energy. Whatever is needed in our hearts, in our bodies, in our minds, in our souls in this moment, you are giving it to us in abundance. May we have the heart and the eyes and the ears to feel, to see, to hear this love. We allow it its full, merciful energy pouring through every atom and cell of our being right here and right now. We accept that full mercy moment to moment. And as we do this for ourselves, we do this for each and every individual who comes in contact, who we come in contact with, our family members, our friends, our community members, this nation, this planet, the cosmos, all dimensions of reality. This love has no limit. And so if there is anyone in our life who is feeling out of step with this love, who is feeling like we feel that they need to know that they are loved, they are feeling separate and apart from God's love, let us call their name into the circle, and let's include our name first, and then the names of those people who are needing to know that they are one in God's love. God's love is unlimited, and here's every name called out into this space of pure love, this conscious space of pure love. And as we've called out every name, we call out all those who have no voice, who we don't even know or see the pain or the suffering that they are going through, but we know that somewhere in this universe they exist, and we call forth that love to be actively responding to this vibrational frequency of invisibility, of no voice. And it is even now calling forth that love to be seen, to be heard, to be felt, and to be healed even now. I celebrate and give thanks that there is nothing limited in this word, that this is God's word. It is infinite and unlimited in its potential to heal beyond our wildest imagination. I celebrate this. I am in awe of this, and I give it over completely. I surrender it, and I let it be in gratitude beyond anything I could ever say. In deep abiding peace and infinite joy, I let this word be now, and I invite us all to say together, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Amen. 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 And so it is. Amen.
Amen.